Let's look at the weather for the next few days since we're going to be spraying aspirin and spinosad, which is an insecticide. Today we've got 89, 63. Tomorrow looks nice and sunny too. Wednesday there's a chance of rain. Looks like less than 50% in the afternoon. So it looks like we have enough time for this to take effect. So we're good to go for spraying.
Hey everybody, this is Brent in Central Arkansas. I'm going to talk to you today about preventative spraying and how I do it. Now I don't have issues yet, but if you want to keep a good garden, it's always best to get ahead of a problem before it becomes an issue. Typically, I don't like spraying fungicide until I see that it's necessary. In the last couple of years, it has been necessary. So as a preventative, what I use is a product called potassium bicarbonate. It's similar to sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, and people use it as a fungicide in gardening. Potassium bicarbonate is just an elevated form of sodium bicarbonate, and it also has potassium in it, so it's much better than sodium bicarbonate. I'll let you take a look at it here. Now I have such a big container of it because this is what I make my super antifungal out of it. It's one of the primary components of it, and because I've been doing microgreens so much using potassium bicarbonate, it just makes sense to add it as a preventative, especially when science shows that it does and it is effective. Now, it is not a cure. It's not a very good cure at all. But what it can do is it can help prevent. So that's one of the things I'm going to spray today. Now I'm going to mix these three ingredients into one jug here. And I've got this jug here, and what I do is I just fill it to about right here, and I add it to my sprayer, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. The second ingredient I'm adding is Captain Jack's Dead Bug. Kills bagworms, borers, and beetles, caterpillars, moths, gypsy moths, loafers, leaf miners, spider mites, other tent caterpillars, and thrips, and some other things. Really all this is spinosad. Spinosad, I don't know if it's organic. I think it's organic, but it's very harmless to most things. But it's always best, and I'm going to mention this overall, it's always best if you're going to use any kind of insecticide that you do it in the evening before any of the pollinators, after the pollinators are mostly gone. So I get it done right about darkness. I'm recording this a little bit ahead of time. It's a little after 7 p.m. It gets pretty dead dark now, about 8:30. So I'll probably head out about 8 and show you this, maybe a little bit earlier, because at that time it's pretty cool. The bees are kind of stopped by then, even though there's a little bit of daylight left. So spinosad, potassium bicarbonate. The third ingredient that I use is, as you can see, it's about nearly a third empty, is just basic uncoated aspirin. And I put a couple tablets in a gallon of water. And what aspirin supposedly does is it triggers the SAR response in tomatoes. And coincidentally, I've seen a couple videos up on this. I guess it's just time. People are just doing it. Anyway, I've been doing it for a long time. I'm not going to go too in depth, but what it does is it mimics a hormone or a chemical that's within the tomato that gets triggered whenever there's disease or insect pressure or something like that. It kind of makes it a little tougher. The problem with that is the tomato's response to that is slow. So what you can do is trigger it ahead of time and use it as a preventative by putting a couple aspirin in a gallon of water. These are 325 milligrams each. It's like the cheapest thing I got on Amazon. What you want to make sure is it's uncoated. Okay, so those are the three ingredients. I'm going to put them together. It's just a very mild preventative overall. None of it's harmful to me. Don't need a mask, don't need any kind of equipment or anything like that. This is what I'm going to apply it with. It's a Ryobi electrostatic, I'm reading an 18 volt sprayer here, made by Ryobi. And I had a sprayer, I can't remember, 2 or 3 years ago, that it really just sucked so bad. And so I wanted to give this a shot, and I think I paid like 79, 80 bucks for mine 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago. And now they're only like $31, and I have this in my Amazon store if you want to take a look at it. $31 for this contraption is awesome. I've been thinking about just buying a couple more just because I know they're gonna, quit making them for too long. And I like it a lot because it makes the whatever you're spraying go further. The downfall, I guess you could say, is it doesn't provide a heavy stream, so you need to do it when it's not very windy. And there's a little bit of a tilt issue that I'll show you. Now $31, $32, something like that on Amazon is, at the time of this filming, is really inexpensive. And it's definitely worth the purchase, but the problem is this right here. Lithium batteries. Now I have 2 other Ryobi products. I've got a blower, hand blower that I use for gardening up and blow all the, when I pull weeds or take suckers off, I just toss them and then I blow them to the end and I pick those up. So I have a garden blower that uses this battery, and I also have hedge trimmers for all my hedges around the house, my landscaping. So this battery is a heavier duty one. It's a 4 amp hour lithium plus. It's also 1 plus. And this bad boy is 2 or 3 times more expensive than that. So it's the expense for this setup is this right here, the battery, the lithium battery. But I can spray, I imagine I could spray 50, 60 times using this one battery, because I've used it 3, 4, 5 times, and it's still, if you look here, it's got a little light. Let me make sure it's on here. And I've used it, and the 4th bar it's completely charged. And I've used it many times, 3, 4, 5 times, and it's still at full maximum bars. What drains it more than anything is the blower, when I use the blower for an extended period of time. And so I use the blower quite a bit more than this. So my spray regimen right now is going to be whenever I think it needs it, or about every 2 weeks with something mild. So I will check. In fact, I'm in the garden every single day, and I look to see if I can see something. I'm not seeing any tomato hornworms right now, thank goodness. I am seeing some of those little caterpillars that are about this size. I don't know what they're called, army worms or cutworms, something like that. But anyway, I am seeing those. And spinosad, along with another insecticide, BT, they're really good at getting rid of worms. So the tomato hornworm out there is my main concern after the squash vine borer for the squashes. So this one's targeting the tomatoes. Everything out there is tomatoes, and that's what today's spray is about. So let me get this mixed. And I've got this little container here. Hopefully you can see it. My camera, little mini screen at the front died. So I'm going to put a couple of aspirin in there. Get this little funnel I use for that. This takes 4 tablespoons per gallon. This cap is just under a tablespoon. So I'm going to put 4 in a little. Now, spinosad is probably organic and use a lot of material in here, so It doesn't go very far. It doesn't go as far as like I think Bare Bio Vegetable and Garden Spray, which uses like a tablespoon, and it hits more different types of bugs. I think it has cyflurin in it or something like that, and I will use that if I need to use that, but I haven't had to use it at all. And the last thing here is going to be the potassium bicarbonate. I'm going to put this down for a second because I got to struggle with this cap. All right, I'm going to take this out. I should have put the dry ingredient in first. And I'm going to attempt to do it here. Now I'm going to just put the big end here, which is equivalent to about a tablespoon of potassium bicarbonate. And this will not hurt the plants at all. Been using it forever. So let me put this down and then I'll direct this in here. Normally I would use the funnel first, but I'm not thinking as clearly because I'm doing this. Alright, use my hand as a funnel and it worked out just great. Now I'll put the cap on here. The sprayer behind me is half a gallon. It's got a fill line here that you use, so I'm mixing a gallon's worth, and that way I can take this gallon out there with this and I can add the ingredients out there. So I'll just shake this and then we'll head out to the garden. I'll be back in a minute. I use this on low. Here it has a place to remove the nozzle so you can take it out. It's got a medium and high. The low uses less product and it does a finer mist. So it's got these little metal sprayers on the inside there that disperse it differently. We're about at the line right here. So this has a electrostatic feature that you can turn off or on. I'm keeping it on. And if you have it on, they suggest you put this armband on. I don't know why. I haven't really seen a need for it, but I keep it on. So let's turn this down just a little bit. We'll get this going. Now I'm not trying to soak the leaves because to activate the SAR response in the tomato and have the worm bugs eat it, it doesn't have to be drenched on the upper and lower. But supposedly the fine mist that comes out will migrate all around, especially with the electrostatic feature. I do find it has great coverage, and it is dripping some right now, so this is all I do. Now I'll do both sides of all 4 rows so I can get it some good coverage. There's one thing about this I'll show you. If you go up like this, well, when it's low, what'll happen is it'll stop. You can keep it more level, let off the trigger, and then pull the trigger again and it'll re-blow it nicely. And this is how fast I do it. So that's it for this video. I kind of did one row for you here. This one, down and dirty. I'll do the other 3 rows the exact same way, and I'll have used only 1/2 a gallon for 160 plants. Now, if I were using this with a hand spray, I'd be stopping and pumping and spraying, and hand spraying for me always meant that it was always dripping to get good coverage. And so I just prefer this. It's really simple to me. And I'm just kind of leaning backwards here. I'm on my tippy toes, crouching. But anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to show you how I do what I do with the spraying regimen. If I use any kind of fungicide or anything else, same process. Everything is just the way it is. If you like this video, please share it with someone. Help me get this thing circulate a little bit more. Like and subscribe, get the algorithm going in my favor, and we'll see you in the next video. And don't forget to leave a comment. Bye-bye.
How long do we gotta stay here for people we don't know in one lines? All of the clothes are designer, fast cars and who knows who. Yeah, I know what they wanna say.